Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
It's worth a listen. Check out the first episode. You should I mean, you listen to more podcasts than so you have time for it. I mean, yeah. Oh well. It's only like 20-minute episodes too. So. Alright, David, let's get started. I'm kind of tired tonight, so I don't want to be on the phone.
Yeah, same here. I gotta do a video after this, so.
Okay. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Melanjeftic 1992 and Zazubar. And they would interrupt me. But on this show, we do not have a failure to communicate. We communicate very well. Welcome, gentlemen.
That is so fucking untrue.
You know what? This was a good movie.
Yeah, so this week
Getting
we're
right into it.
Yeah, this week we're reviewing Cool Hand Luke, which is a older movie starring Paul Newman. And let me just give the prefix about what made me choose this last week. Last week I was really on the fence about what I wanted to choose. I was really considering going with Green Lantern and Emerald Knights just because I was in the mood for it since I was making Mogo and stuff. But then that day I was watching an episode of Family Guy and the whole episode was a parody of Cool Hand Luke. And I'm watching it with Haley and I'm like, oh god, Cool Hand Luke. And she goes, what? And she doesn't realize what it's a parody of. But then when they do the line, what we've got here is a failure to communicate. She's like, oh, I've heard that before. So it's one of those things that I've always just found fascinating. And yes, Bill, you can make fun of me for my trope there. It's one of those things I've always found fascinating of people that know things even though they don't know what it's from.
Oh yeah, it's very. We talked about this last year when we talked about Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's just one of those really odd things to me that everyone really knows that line, even though they like change it up and say they actually correct the grammar on it and say what we have here most of the time. But it's just one of those really fascinating things to me, and I'd like to just talk about the movie as a whole and see if we can get why it is that sticks so well in the culture.
The thing with that is, I personally think that I think the reason all these shows like Family Guy and The Simpsons and what have you, any sort of cartoon medium on television that references like movies and such, I think it's just the cross-pollination of things that are popular, and things get to a certain point that that certain lines, certain sayings become so influential, become such a integral part of the culture, you know, that they don't. Their sources don't really matter anymore because the sayings from those movies kind of have already entered the mindscape of the people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people like the saying, let's see, what's saying? Just some hokey saying like, oh, you it's like shooting a fish in a barrel. I mean, where is that from?
Yeah.
But maybe, like, it's
Old
like that, like, old sayings and stuff. They're all like from... like something, if you trace those things back, like, oh, this one king said this one thing, and it kind of stuck in the public consciousness, and eventually, over time, people forget where that saying is from, and so, and I think it's happening more and more quickly now because thanks to internet memes and what have you, and beforehand.
Well, it's not just an internet thing, though. I mean, this movie has been around for years. This won a couple awards.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying it's just. The process in which sayings are incorporated into the public's mindscape have speeded up.
Yeah,
I mean,
the big example of it for me when I was growing up, and still to this day, has always been cartoons, and particularly comedy cartoons. Because I remember watching the Fairly Odd Parents as a kid, and that was filled with pop culture references that I either got or I didn't understand. And of course there are other cartoons like it where they reference these movies and these pop culture phenomenons. Like there's an entire episode where it's one giant reference to Kiss. And, you know, as a kid, I never grew up a Kiss person, so it's like, stuff like that, you know, it becomes a reference to itself in a way, because you would, you know, you would go to elementary school as I did, and you would make reference to this show, and really you were making reference to something you had never seen. I mean, I think just popularly, the biggest example of it I can think of is how many things make fun of King Kong. And you look at all these different cartoons and stuff that have a giant ape climbing a big building, knocking down helicopters or planes. And it gets to the point where that trope is so used that King Kong is no longer part of it. Because it's become such an iconic image and such an iconic concept that it's no longer about making fun of King Kong. It's about this is making fun of that trope absent of that movie.
They actually did that on How I Met Your Mother. He's got a scale model of the Empire State Building, and he's showing it off on a news program. And at the same time, you know how occasionally news programs will have, like, animal experts on?
Right.
Same time, there's an animal expert in the studio with a monkey, and the monkey climbs the scale model of the Empire State Building. And, like, they're trying to figure out how to get it down so the guys start throwing paper airplanes at it.
That's great. Yeah, but that's just one of the ones that I always think of. But in terms of this movie specifically, in terms of Cool Hand Luke, this was something I had never heard of. And I was telling Ian before we started recording how I had no idea what I was about to watch because I didn't quite hear him right when he mentioned it last week. So when I was doing research on it about 2 days... No, not 2 days ago. Fucking last night. What I was going to have to watch for today, I was thinking I'm going to watch a really absurdist comedy. And I didn't know why I thought that. I think part of it is Ian made an absurdist comedy. So I thought what I was about to watch, because I had never heard the name before, was an absurdist comedy. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch one in an absurdist comedy. So I finally look up the title, which I finally fucking remembered. And I was like, it's got Paul Newman in it? And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I started doing research, and I'm like, oh, it's a prison drama. Oh, all right. So I can dig it, and I watched it today, and I pretty much dug it. I liked it a lot.
The thing, the similar thing with me. Want to get back at that whole cross-pollination of popular sayings.
Oh, we don't have to. That's just.
I know, but just before we move on, the first thing I've ever saw that had anything to do with aliens was on Rescue Rangers. You know, the Disney Chipmunk show, and it was in.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Oh, and anyway, but the thing is, I heard this line. It was a cool movie, and it was like really nice. I liked the movie, but basically when the line was said, the most popular line ever, I think the main reason that this line has become so influential is for me. The first time I've ever heard it was in a Guns N' Roses song. Wait,
was it Game Over or Get Away From Her, You Bitch?
I'm not quite sure. It's been a while.
Well, which one was Chippendale? Because that can't be Get Away From Her, You Bitch.
No, it was basically they were watching a movie where this monster with double mouths was attacking a lady with a gun in a spaceship. So I'm like,
so it's that scene. They just didn't say the line.
Yeah. But that's the thing. But anyway, so the first time I heard this line before the Guns N' Roses song, I thought, is that what's his name, Ronald Reagan or something? Because I don't know why does Ronald Reagan have such a high pitched voice? But then I'm like, oh wait, the time doesn't line up, because Guns N' Roses, were they a 70s band or an 80s band?
No, 80s.
I don't know, man. What are you getting at here? I'm so confused right now.
I first heard the line in a Guns N' Roses song, and I'm like, neato.
Which line? Failure to communicate?
Yeah, it was before the song. Like, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And I thought, and the song was about like dead soldiers, and I thought, is that like a speech from a politician or something?
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the line. Let's just talk about the line because it doesn't really give too much away about the movie. But like, one thing, and I might be spoiling. All right. Spoiler alert on a movie that we're not reviewing here. Okay. This movie, it's like twin brother is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and
as
it's
to Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say Shawshank, but that works too.
No, not really, because, Shawshank's got a similar thing, but he doesn't keep trying to get out, and it has, a happy ending. Sorry, spoiler alert on Shawshank, but
really, haven't seen the Shawshank Redemption.
Anyway, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, beat for beat, it's the same movie, if you really pay attention to it. He endears himself to the other inmates. He starts to have problems with the authority figures. He breaks out. He gets in trouble. He does something else that gets him in even more trouble. And then they kill him. These movies are really similar. And not only in the, plot-wise, but the characters themselves really line up in an eerie way. Luke and, what's Jack Nicholson's character's name in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
For some reason,
Murphy. Luke and Murphy, they're just these characters that just will not stop. And it's this interesting look at what is essentially antisocial personality disorder taken to a very large extreme. These guys just do not... you can't teach them on a punishment-reward system like every single prison system, no matter if it's a hospital or an actual prison, is designed by. There's this punishment-reward aspect that we teach people by so that they, you go to prison, you do your time, then your reward is you get out. You go to prison, you start messing up even more, then you're punished with more time. Right. Luke just doesn't frickin' get it. I mean, he just keeps messing up over and over again. And they you guys have only seen the movie once, but the stuff they do that just shoves it in your face when you watch it repeated times. Alright, let's see here. They mentioned that he was in the military. He entered and left with the same rank.
Yeah, and they said, they said you got a bunch of Purple Hearts and stuff, yeah.
Silver Star, but anyway. And then there's the fight scene in the yard.
Yeah, and he won't get it.
When the other prisoner is just beating the crap out of him to the point where he can barely stand up. Right. But he keeps standing up, and he's like, you're going to have to kill me. And that's exactly what they do. There's one point in this movie at which he says he's learned his lesson.
Right, it's such a good scene. That's probably my favorite scene of the whole movie, because it's so... A, it's really well paced, and B, the series of shots building up to him finally getting up out of the hole and grabbing onto the guard's legs and just breaking down is just like... You just feel so bad for this character because the whole time you've been rooting for him to rebel because these guys are fucking assholes, and the whole
not really.
Well, I mean,
they lock him in solitary confinement because his mom died.
Yeah, I mean, Milan, they're pretty fucked up people. I mean, also they're also
not really fucked
up.
There's Southerners.
That's not stereotypical at all. And I know we have Southern listeners too, so they're not going to be offended. But it's such a sad scene because you're just like, he's finally been broken, and you don't want to see this guy broken because, you spend the whole movie with him, and you get to love him as a character. You get to see him the last time he sees his mother. You just really get to know this character, so that it's just such a great scene. And let me just say this: I don't think you guys are going to agree with me, but that's okay. I think the last 20 minutes of this movie are perfect. They're absolutely fantastic. I think some of the stuff, the beginning is great as well, but I think some of the stuff in the middle is a little slow to the point where I think the point is kind of lost.
I think that's a problem. Sorry, excuse me. I think that's a problem of classic movie pacing.
I think so as well, but I think the scene that really defined it for me, and I guess that it does kind of work back into his character, but even then it's a little bit too long of a scene, is the scene with the eggs. It's a dramatic scene, it's got tension in it, but after it's done you're like, okay, now what? And then...
Well, I mean, to be fair, if they didn't have the scene with the eggs, how else would you do the obvious Jesus metaphor?
Right, very true, but...
I mean, that's the thing, if you ever have to describe Cool Hand Luke in one sentence, it's about prison Jesus.
Right. Right.
It's about prison Jesus that actually has a personality and does things. And that's the thing. The funny thing about this movie is that I know it's an older movie and it's set in the South, and yet the main character is an atheist. And it's so... I like it because I love this one line. Like, he's just, like, towing the land, and this, like, one of the guards is like, "So I hear tell you don't believe in God. I was wondering why a nice clean-cut boy like you can end up here. Now I know. I never killed a white man before."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, at least he acknowledged that...
Did he really say you don't believe in God? Because I did not hear that.
I don't remember hearing that either. I do remember hearing I've never killed a white man before.
No, he did.
No, I think he said something to the effect of, I realize why you're in here now, and it was... for the fact that he just wouldn't listen to anybody.
I mean,
I don't think
is it implied that he's a straight-up atheist? I mean...
No, it says so. Like, it's literally... I think...
Hold on, the last scene in which he talks, his last monologue, he's talking to God in a church.
I don't think he doesn't believe in God.
No, the thing with that is, like, didn't you, like... The scene was like he doesn't believe in God. He mentions that a couple of times, and also the whole talking with God thing. It does that kind of ironically. He's like, "Oh, who's there? Oh, nobody's listening. Ha ha." He's just doing that kind of in a silly fashion. He doesn't believe that he's actually talking to somebody. He's just kind of having fun. It's just kind of weird cathartic thing of just like, "Hey, Mr. Invisible Man, how you doing?" Yep.
I don't really agree.
See, this is where I think that's one of the things that's really interesting about this movie is there's so many different interpretations.
Yeah. Oh, it's not interpretations. He literally says, "I heard you don't believe in God," and he says like,
"What? I do not remember that line."
But it's in the movie.
But I also, and this is up to interpretation. So, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't agree. I think that scene is more like, "Where the fuck have you been?" It's not so much saying I don't believe in you. I don't think it's done ironically. I think it's just him basically saying it's his final rebellion, and it's also obviously parallel to Jesus's moment in the Bible, because then after that he gets shot. So definitely some nice religious allegory going on there. It's not him. It's not his disbelief in God. It's his anger and his need to rebel against God because God has never given him a break.
The thing, he's not really angry at God, because the thing is, he's never like really, "Why have you done this to me, God?" Because he does it with a really kind of tongue-in-cheek fashion.
But he does that. He does that with everything. He's always
exactly. So he does the
everything.
thing. Personally, I don't think he really. I think he's personally suicidal. Like in the beginning, I think he's.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, he's suicidal, but like I don't think he takes anything all that seriously. That's why he escapes all the time. And personally, I literally just finished watching the film, and he doesn't believe in God. I can guarantee this film. But the thing is, you don't believe him about whatever, but it's a really interesting film because he does kind of make not fun of the fact that people. It's the whole Jesus allegory thing. And that's the thing, that's why I don't believe that is actually supposed to be taken all that seriously, because just afterwards, there was this jokey scene of him eating like 50 eggs for money, and then they're just kind of leave him in this Jesus position, and I think that's kind of meant to be taken as kind of like, haha, silliness. It's not to be taken all that seriously.
I disagree with you
I don't
there.
as well.
I think the 50 eggs thing was supposed to be a realistic way to portray something that no one else could do.
Right.
That's why it's such a big deal. Like, no one thinks that's even physically possible.
Yeah, and they show you why it's really not, because he almost fucking dies doing it. but he does it. So, and that's the big fuck you. Because there's a couple different... He rebels against everyone. He rebels against the prisoners he's encamped with. And then he rebels against his prison keepers. And then he rebels against God in God in many ways. And I think that it's not so much I don't think the movie is taking it lightly. I mean, the character is tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think the movie is tongue-in-cheek.
I'm not saying the movie's taking it lightly. I say he's taking it lightly.
Right, but
not lightly, he's not taking it too seriously.
But he didn't put himself in that position on purpose. The people put him in that position and just left him.
I know, but the thing is with that is, he could have had, like, the chance, he could have broken. He could have said, okay, fine, I'll wait out and try, something more rational. But he didn't. He's like, I'm just gonna, fuck around with these people.
Right. That's his characterization. But I don't see how that makes... I don't see how that makes the Jesus allegory like, haha, look at that, that's funny. It's more just like, this character is, he's not going to break under the pressure of all these people trying to get him to break, including the guy who becomes his confidant in the prison. Whose name I forget, but I really like that guy. I don't think it's I don't think it's making fun of Christianity anyway. I don't think it's like...
No, it's not making fun of Christianity. You don't understand me. It's just, I think it's stated that he is an atheist, or at least doesn't really believe in God, but he's not making fun of God. He's not making fun of anything. He's just, when he does talk to God at the very end, he does it in a tongue-in-cheek fashion, because when he's in the rain, he goes like, hey, come on, God, show me, where are you? Nope, nobody's there. All right, then. He's just, he's taking it lightly. He's just kind of...
Right, he is taking it lightly, but I don't think that that's supposed to be taken as he doesn't believe in God. He's trying to make the point of, this guy doesn't give a fuck about me. So I think that's more the point he's trying to make, and I think that ending scene is more... Because he's talking to God directly, being like, can you cut me a break? And I think the tongue-in-cheek nature of his delivery is just the way he talks to every figure who deems himself with some kind of authority, which almost everyone he interacts with in the film does. So I don't think it's him saying he doesn't believe in God, that like, oh, I'm talking to someone who doesn't exist. He's talking to someone who he doesn't think cares about him. So he's just like, fuck you, because it doesn't matter. Because you're not going to do anything for me anyway, and he doesn't. So, and it's also close to the Jesus thing, because God doesn't touch him because he has to die in order, because that's his whole thing, is he's rebelling to the very end. He can never break under the pressure, and if he doesn't die, if he just goes back to prison, he breaks. So he has to die in that scene. So I don't think that it's a movie where the character is an atheist. I think it's more the character is, this guy has never lent me a hand. So I don't know. I disagree.
I disagree completely. I think he's an atheist, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter. The thing with this movie, that's the thing, we completely disagree on the themes. But anyway, the thing about this movie is, I grew up on a lot of Russian films that come from this era.
Milan, can I interrupt real quick before you go on with that? I'm sorry. I just watched the scene again. That's why I was quiet. You are right. He does say, I hear tell you don't believe in God.
Oh, does he? Are you sure?
Yeah, to be fair, he mumbles, so it's hard to catch it, but if you are listening for it, yeah, he definitely says that. Yeah. And Milan watches everything with headphones in, so that's why he was able to catch it.
Yeah. But anyway, I grew up with movies from this era, but in Russian, especially, there's one or two prison movies. To tell you the truth, one of them was a comedy, but it had some really it had the same tone as this movie did. Parts of it did, at least. And yeah, it's weird because I think men from that time and movie makers from that time, there was a certain level of... When was this movie made?
68.
68. Back then, men had, movie makers and men had real damn grit. Because, you see these people and you believe that they're prisoners. But the thing with this, since, obviously, I'm going to get this out of the way, there's not any... This being a quite small jail filled with sure, there's a guy who killed somebody, but only by accident, and it's a small jail. filled with criminals who aren't really all that bad, who are like, you know, not like killers and rapists, more like kind of guys who, you know, made false checks, kind of got vandals and what have you, guys who aren't really serious quote-unquote criminals. And so you can understand why they aren't all hardened and, like, you know, ass rapists, you know? They're not all like, oh, I'm gonna sell this guy for booty or whatever. They're all, it's a small jail, so they all get together and you can believe that they're...
Well, I think it helps that they get to fight each other on Saturdays.
Oh yeah, totally,
yeah,
totally.
that's the other thing, yeah.
That's the thing.
That's a good policy for prisons, not gonna lie. You can fight whoever you want on Saturday. That's a good policy. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hotbox, not so much. Well,
like, I see where you're coming from, Milan. It does have that gritty style to it. I think my favorite scene in this is when they finish tarring that road in like 2 minutes.
Right.
You know, I love that scene. And yes, this movie is a Jesus allegory, but it takes a fairly, for the time, leap forward. In that it demonstrates just how it demonstrates the difficulty of being the savior.
Right.
Before a lot of things that, like, there's been more stuff like that, definitely. But this was one of the first to do it, from what I can tell. There's that scene when he comes back from his really long trip away, after he gets caught the second time. After he'd sent them that picture of him and the two girls. There's that scene where he comes back, and they're all like, no, Luke, we saw the picture, it was awesome, you'll get out again, you're awesome, Luke. And he, like, yells at them, it was a fake, quit feeding on me,
right.
Quit depending on me. It goes through that difficulty of how hard it is to be the one that the people look up to. I mean, he is these guys' symbol of hope and freedom,
right.
And it's like that weight is what crushes him, and it's weird. That's what drives him to keep on being this rebellious thing. Like, it enforces that rebellious nature in him even more so because they support him for doing it. But more so than that, it's just he realizes that by that point. He realizes that these guys are the ones that are making me do this. And if it weren't for them acting this way, I wouldn't feel the need to... I wouldn't be this crazy. I mean, I was only going to be here for 2 years, and I'm going to be here for like 10.
Right.
I don't know. I found that really fascinating, especially for the time that it came out.
I also thought it made him very relatable, because I found Luke to be a very relatable character, because everybody wants to be the rebel, at least at a certain point in their life, especially in a situation like this where you're just bombarded with rules and regulations. So you want to be the guy who's like, fuck the man, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And to see a guy who comes into this situation that way, most guys would be broken within about a week and a half. And he lasts for, they don't give us even an indication of how long the time is, but it seems to be, at least a year.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
So who knows? But I agree with you. It's such a great scene because it makes him more relatable. Because if you're just this pillar of rebellion, this pillar of the savior, it makes you unrelatable because no man can be that powerful in terms of will. And they show that he's not. Because there's also that scene at the ending where he's like, I wasn't acting. I was really broken.
Yeah, and like, what funnily enough, I mean, they did break him, but if they hadn't, like, decided to make him bitch boy, he would have just been good at that point, He wouldn't have run away again.
Right, they took advantage of him in a way.
Yeah, once they thought, now we broke him, and now we're gonna, like, really force it in and make him be, the dog that fetches everything.
The thing is with that is, they weren't trying to, like, we're gonna take it. The thing is, they kind of took advantage of him. They wanted to prove, they didn't take advantage, well, they did, but they wanted to prove a point. To, like, you see this guy, this great man who could escape, who escaped every second he had? Well, now he's the bitch boy. Now look at him, see? Huh? Get the
I
turtle,
agree.
boy. Get the turtle.
Right, which at the end of the day is like, oh, this is why I was so rebellious. Fuck these guys. And then he, it's almost reinforces his philosophy on life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is why I wanted to run away, because I knew, like, I ran away when they were treating me like everyone else. Now they're treating me worse than everyone else. I have to run away.
Right. It's almost like, because that's the moment where he's like, if I have to deal with this, I want to die. It's either death or I'm out of here. So that's the moment where he's almost just like, fuck it. Nothing matters anymore because I don't want to live like this. So I might as well do my best to make a run for it. And I think that's why there's that scene where him and the other guy are in the middle of the woods, and the other guy's like, you're going to come home, we're going to have a big old meal. And he's just like, I think it's better off if we go our separate ways. And I think it's because I think he knew he didn't, that if I don't keep running, I better be dead, and I don't want this guy to be around because he might hinder that. And he turns out to be correct, because the guy comes into the church after he's had his little chat with God, and he's just like, if you come back, you can have your same old bunk, same old everything, it's going to be great. And he's just like, fuck this, he opens the window, smiles, and they get shot.
I like that he parrots the line back to the warden.
Right,
that's one of the things, actually. The line everyone quotes is, of course, what we've got here is failure to communicate. I think I actually like the line that he says just before that gets him hit, where he's like, now, he might not like it, but Luke, is for your own good. Jeez, Captain, I wish you'd stop being so good to me.
That was a great line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, I love that.
Oh.
Don't you talk that way to me!
Yeah. The thing about the warden, I love his voice, because it's just so weird. It's just like this little guy with this high-pitched southern voice, like, don't you talk to me that way! Oh, God, it's adorable.
Go ahead, Malone, I'm sorry.
For some reason, he sounds like Ronald Reagan to me. I don't know.
Ronald Reagan does not sound like
Ronald Reagan. You've been bringing up Ronald Reagan a lot in this video. You've been rolling with the RR references.
That's because when I first heard the line, I thought it was from Ronald Reagan, because it was like in that song from the Guns N' Roses. Is that like Ronald Reagan talking about some sort of tragedy in Vietnam or whatever? And it's like,
oh my God! Oh,
I know
that was like, dude.
Historical
I swear,
I know Vietnam was in the 70s. I'm sorry.
No, 60s was Vietnam.
60s and 70s, but just like that is so. That's like a moment from a Jessica Simpson reality show.
I know. The second it came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, fuck! I dark pooped.
Well, that wasn't that bad, but it reminds me of this on this modeling competition for Mrs. Interstate here, and the winner was asked about what she thinks should be changed in America, and she goes on this 2-minute
everywhere, like such as in countries
in Zimbabwe, you've heard it, and her basic consensus is education needs to be better in America, and it's such like this unintelligible fucking rambling nonsense. It's awesome.
Well, like, that's what's funny about it, is, like, maybe she's a genius, and in fact, she meant to sound completely incoherent so that we'd actually do something. But to be fair to that girl, it's because the pressure was extreme.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could not imagine, like, being in front of millions of people like that and being expected to, sound intelligent when you're probably not already.
But that's the thing that annoys me about those competitions. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say that Milan reminded me of when he was talking about the grittiness in that particular scene where he defies the warden. This is a beautiful movie.
Oh, yeah.
Insanely well shot. I miss this era of film. I mean,
see, Bill, let me ask, what did you watch this on?
I watched this on my laptop.
See, there it is. That's why. The first time I ever saw this movie, I completely agreed with you because I got to see it on an old VHS tape, on an old analog TV. And this time, I watched it, and it was one of those movies, and I'm telling you not to buy one of these. And I didn't buy it, thank God, but It's one of those ones where it's a classic movie that they still had the film from, and they converted it to HD format. And it looks disgusting! Ew! Oh my god, pores of sweat.
Oh, yeah. See,
God, like, it wasn't meant to be seen in that great of detail, so it just looks really nasty.
I don't know, that wouldn't bother me as much as it would you. But
well, it doesn't, like, really bother me, it just distracts from it, and then it's always there because these guys, it's shot in the South, so it's just, they're all sweating buckets.
I mean, I saw that anyway, so I mean, I think that's kind of the point, is to be grossed out by how pretty it is. Not
grossed out because it's gritty, just grossed out because it's always there on screen, even when it's not adding anything to the scene, just because they didn't shoot it to see that much sweat and pores.
I see your point. There are movies that I watch remastered, and I'm like, oh no, there's that flaw that shouldn't have been there. It doesn't bother me that much though, but let me just continue my point. This is such a beautiful movie. There's so many great pans and wipes and overlays. Like my favorite, the one that stuck out to me, was the tar scene where Luke falls down and is just laughing, and they do an overlay of him laughing over the faces of the bosses, I'll call them, and the guy with the shades, and it's just they're all stone faced, and all the prisoners are just laughing. It's this great shot. All the sunsets and just this very classic American film sense that I it was almost like I was predestined to like it in that way, so I might be a little biased on it, because I love this era of film. This is a well-shot movie.
Oh, yeah, but the thing with that is, when I first saw they had, like, helicopter shots, I'm like, because you really expect to see that in modern-day movies, and when you see it in a really quite, like, a movie from the 60s, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like, that is a really... Shot? You know, from up top, it was like a... You see the whole, like, landscape of... Oh, you mean
I didn't notice that. Above. Oh, you mean like a bird's eye view?
A bird's eye view, yeah. And, like, when you see that, and it's just like, that is such a modern-day filmmaking technique that in modern-day movies, with everything being so clean, you don't notice it. But with this movie being from the 60s, and it's all shot from, chest-high view, so you could see everyone, but it's just... It comes out of nowhere, but it adds an extra level of quality to the filmmaking. It helps to make the shots. It gives a little bit more variety to the shots and makes it look a lot more.
Well, it establishes the hell out of the landscape, which is something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're like, we are in the South. Does everyone get that? Everyone got that? Okay, we're in the South.
I also like the fact that in this being a movie from the 60s and set in the South, that they acknowledge that black people exist.
I mean, it's inferred. They don't mention it directly, but it's. I mean,
no, you see them. You see like little black kids.
No, right. I mean, there's no overt racism. I mean, there's a little bit of subtle racism in the line where the guy is just like, I've never killed a white man before, so there's some implied racism there. But it was definitely a part of it, so I did appreciate those subtle references. It helped establish the location, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty well done. That you're obviously in a segregated prison. Right. Well, actually, I'm not sure there were ever prisons for black people in the South. I'm pretty sure there were just lynchings.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And you're calling me that we might offend some Southerners. And
no, but Malone, that's an outright statement of fact.
Yeah, that's true. And so did what did I say?
You said something as to the point of like Southerners. I don't know, what the fuck did he say? But it was more of just like an assumption based on the fact that they're like, Ian's was a historical fact. Yours was like a modern day stereotype.
Yeah. No, it's just, I really do love the way they portray the South in here, because, honestly, chain gangs were a thing.
Yeah.
And it got so bad, because the South has always been, problematic. I mean, there was this whole thing you might have heard of. It was a civil war.
What's that?
This nobody named Lincoln was president at the time, Anyway,
fucking
the South has always been kind of uncooperative with federal programs and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, they wouldn't during the 60s, because of the whole race thing, civil rights movement, they were just really adamant about not accepting federal funding for just about anything they could avoid federal funding for. And one of those things are roads and, just upkeep of, area, public spaces and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Which we're going to tar a road. How? We're going to put dirt on it.
Yeah, so the, and part of that's just country. But anyway, so this is the actual history. They decided, all right, well, we've got this prison population, and they're all just sitting around getting sick or getting in fights and making gangs, so we'll put them to work. So they created chain gangs. And it was a wonderfully successful program because guess what? It brought slavery back to the South.
We're very happy.
But I'm not done yet. Here's how bad it got. They couldn't get the prisoners everywhere they needed to get them to take care of all the different problems because there were just too many roads that needed paved and cleaned off and stuff like that. So they started arresting people for fucking anything. You could get arrested and sent to jail for a year or 2 years for public drunkenness or for being lost.
What?
If you were alone on a road in the South and you got pulled over by the wrong sheriff and he didn't like you, you're on a chain gang for a couple years.
What the fuck? What do they charge you with?
For
loitering
or something like that.
Oh.
They didn't have
loiter
to
on public property.
They didn't have
loitering anyway. What the fuck is loitering?
Well,
I never got that.
Logical people, it'd be like if you went to a Macy's and you stood around for 2 hours, didn't buy anything, and just walked around. And someone saw you and they call a security guard. They usually just throw you out, but if you do it persistently, you can get arrested for it.
Apparently,
no, but anyway, one thing they could arrest you for is like if the cop pulled you over and started like being really rude to you, like it's a really special talent Southern police officers have. Being really.
Now we're getting back to the
you.
realm of stereotypes.
No, it's something that only a Southern officer seems to be able to get away with. They'd be really rude to you, and then your natural reaction is to be rude back, and then you could end up being arrested for like resisting arrest or assaulting an officer or something like that. It got really ridiculous to the point where they were just throwing people in jail because they needed more prisoners to pave the road.
That is so messed up.
Oh, it really was. In this movie, I mean, certainly he commits a crime that is actually deserving of some jail time.
No, I mean nowadays you get community service or probation for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's deserving of some jail time. But 2 years
That's insane.
for cutting the heads off some parking meters?
At night,
What? You didn't even cut the heads off them. You're just gonna use a wrench to tie them off.
You can fix those in a half hour.
Exactly.
No problem.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, officer, I'm sorry. Let me just put him back. I mean, I do like how it's an immediate start to his character. He's rebelling against the authority by destroying municipal property. That was a great start to the character. Because I mean, for the first like 15 minutes of the movie, I was like, okay, when are they going to explain why he was doing that? And they don't have to because it's just part of his character and it informs the rest of the movie. So.
Yeah, he's just doing shit because he's bored.
Well, he's not doing it because he's bored. He's doing it because fuck the government. As also an ex-military man, so it makes sense in that way as well. And also, he's drunk off his ass to the point where he can't even respond to the officers.
What are you doing, son? I was just taking the.
He opens up a fucking bottle of what looks like. I'm gonna say it's bourbon. I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna guess it's.
It just looked like beer to me, but okay.
No, the bottle was too big to be just straight up beer. I would say it's probably.
It's the South, Bill, in the 70s or 60s.
So
I like.
They didn't have bourbon. I mean.
No, it's just that's the kind of it's an older beer bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, anyway, it's not important.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that scene. Just the
shots are beautiful in that scene as well. I love the close-ups on the violation thing flicking over the screen.
I love that. That's the very first thing you see is just violation.
Such a good, right? Such a good visual kind of foreshadowing and metaphor. It was such a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing about this movie that I really like, it's just how what's the right words I'm looking for? It seems real, and people act like real people, because I'm going to get back on this point, I always do, that modern-day movie actors, like, at least in, like, less than stellar... Like, most movie actors nowadays, I don't believe that they're in the settings that they are, because they seem like actors acting, instead of this, in some of these older movies, you believe that it's a guy in the situation doing a thing that he's doing on screen.
Yeah. Can
you give me some examples of what you mean when you say modern movies, please? Because I'm kind of lost here.
Well, not really modern. Well, most modern movies, there's a certain disconnect between what, like, I can tell that they're actors. Well, in some movies, there are some good actors that can pull off actually doing things. But especially on TV, that you just, like, these people aren't doing what they're doing.
Well, do you think part of that is access? Because we see there's so much pre-seeing the movie on set photos and footage and interviews.
No,
and
really.
Also,
no.
I think the other part is you would rarely see pictures, at least frequently, of actors off set in public. Like, I doubt anyone would see Paul Newman, grocery shopping on the front page of the newspaper back then. I mean, some magazines, sure, but I mean, it was just popularly. You wouldn't just see Paul Newman with his giant beard just fucking rocking at the grocery store. So
you would. Actually, you would, because he'd be on some dressing. And never mind.
But I'm just saying, it's like
I know someone got that joke.
I know
someone got that joke. Leave a comment if you got that joke.
Nobody will. Nobody will.
No, someone will.
I understand what you're saying, but it's not the overexposure of media. It's just that they're... I don't know, maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's the subtle change in acting. I think it's
the lighting.
I mean, it's the subtle awareness that
That's why Christian Bale freaked out at that DP. You're making my performance look ungenuine to Milan.
But, like, it's not that. I think it's modern actors... They have this kind of annoying awareness, this kind of like, I know that I'm acting, and you know that I'm acting, so I'm acting!
I would hope they would know, otherwise they should be locked up.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I have that sometimes too. I think that's often... I think what you're referring to is a wider and more long-standing problem of name actors just playing themselves. And even if they're not, you're still like, that's Tom Cruise. But I mean, that's not something that's been going on for at least since the late '80s. I mean, I know it's not even that. It's not even with well-known actors. It's with normal actors. It's just like even like TV guys. Like you're not a person who does this thing. I mean, there's very
it's bad acting.
I mean, I think what Malon's referring to is definitely a problem, but I don't think it's just of of cinema and television. I think it's been a problem forever. I mean, there aren't a lot of TV shows.
Let me say this. Milan, how many bad movies from this era have you seen?
Very few.
That's the thing, is I guarantee you, there's just as many bad movies back then as there are now.
Well, I mean,
it's just they don't last.
Well, we don't remember them. That's the thing.
So that's the thing is you're taking an example of something that was good for the time and is still great now, and you're acting like that's the norm for back then.
I think you might be right, but I guess I'm a much bigger fan of method acting than just acting. Anyway, I'll be right back. I gotta go get something.
To react to Milan's thing while he's not here, I just think that's a different... I think it's just access. I think that's the biggest thing. We know more about actors now and current actors now. Because, I mean, again, who the fuck knew what Paul Newman was up to, every day? He wasn't tweeting. He wasn't on the cover of fucking...
Goddamn, I would totally follow Paul Newman on Twitter.
I would too, but unfortunately he's dead. That was something...
He'd probably just tweet about his dressing.
That was a big deal, too. I remember the day he died. It was such a huge deal. It was on every news station shit. Anyway.
Actually, funny story if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, the day I found out that Paul Newman died was the day after I'd seen Cool Hand Luke for the first time.
That is fucking bizarre.
Right? The first time I saw Cool Hand Luke, and this is why I know the whole antisocial personality disorder, like, so well, as it's attached to this movie, is we watched it in psychology class. We watched that and a scene from Clockwork Orange. It's just really interesting, so I've always had that connection with it, and it's a movie that's stuck in my mind so well because that's how I remember it, is Paul Newman died the next day.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had a situation like that. Probably not.
It's one of those weird things.
Right, it's a weird coincidence where it's like, oh, I really like this movie, let me get into this actor. Paul Newman dies. Fuck!
So basically, everyone, what I'm saying is I killed Paul Newman.
Yes.
You bastard!
By becoming aware of his existence, I killed Paul Newman.
Some people would say that's enough. Some people say art dies when it becomes popular, so.
No. Yeah. I don't know, I always found that really interesting. Sorry to interrupt, I just felt like throwing that out
I mean,
there.
I wasn't talking about anything significant, so.
Well, that's just your default.
Yeah. Well, it's an hour-long podcast, you gotta do something.
I find some way to fill the time.
Indeed.
Sasubar.
Yes, that's a quote that's gonna go on a t-shirt.
I find ways to just pass the time. That's what you should do for your next live shows. Just ways to pass the time with Zazubar.
Oh, yeah. The next live show will probably be in a month because of the 1,000 subscribers thing. But I am doing something special for that episode.
You got 1,000 subscribers? I'm
on my way there. I'm halfway there. I'm at 950, so hopefully in a month.
Well, like, if you were halfway there, you'd be at 500 subscribers.
No, I just mean, like, 50 away. Because I got to 900, and I was like, ooh, I'm going up pretty quick. I better, like, plan something. And I have something in mind. And then once I have it in mind, I have been doing a slow crawl to 1,000. So I am pissed off right now, because I want to do this video already, and I have to wait now. Fuck. Everyone, just go subscribe to me so I can fucking do this thing. Anyway, so what were we talking about?
I don't know. Bill's having his little diva moment.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, he's complaining, oh my god, I've put nearly 1,000 subscribers.
Boo!
This doesn't even qualify as a first world problem. This is like a zero world problem.
Zero world. I live there.
Damn it, I have nearly 1,000 subscribers, but I can't do this live show I want to.
No, it's not a live show. I don't know.
Yeah, my friends Ian and Milan have sustainably less views and subscribers than me.
You guys are just fucking jealous. That's all the
Pretty much.
Yeah, we are jealous. We're not, like, we're admitting it. We're completely and utterly jealous of your success.
I guess I'll just have to take solace in the fact that I look better than you. Naked.
That is, Ian, most people don't like to fuck skeletons, so.
Well, I like. I would sooner fuck Bill than I would you, Ian. Like, you know, just because I couldn't fuck anything.
Well, listen, I'm gonna be honest. I don't find that comforting, but thanks anyway.
Like, I could never fuck something I respect, so I'm sorry, Bill. I can fuck.
That explains your life so much. All the stories you've told me, that implies so much about why you're such a horrible human being.
I'm joking. I won't fuck you either. Don't worry, man. Like, I want
too busy having sex with Godzilla.
Yeah, I'll have sex with Godzilla, but not with you, Bill, because I respect you as well. I wouldn't. So you're safe from my machinations because I respect you both, and so I will not fuck you.
It's so depressing that was a momentary problem in my life, was whether or not Milan was going to fuck me.
Let's get back to the movie, because this has gotten to a very
I have a thing to go back to with Cool Hand Luke. I have another small problem with the movie. I think there are some off music cues. There are some really nice music cues in there as well, but I think the one that was bothering me was I felt like the music was being too obvious with the presentation of some characters. Case in point, the guy with the sunglasses having like Darth Vader music pop up whenever he popped up on screen. And I think it'd be so much more effective if it was just dead silence. I think that would be evoking emotions a lot more successfully.
But let me just say with the music, I absolutely love the theme. I just want to like stroll around with that theme playing.
It's
I had that on my iPod a while.
It's awfully comfortable in a way, because it's such a uncomfortable atmosphere, but it's kind of comforting southern music. And it's kind of used to the film's effect in the scene where he's being broken and the guys are playing banjo music in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's such an effective means of expressing that.
The thing with that is, the thing with the guy, I love the fact that they refer to him as like, you don't make fun of the man with no eyes, because I love the fact, like, I miss the fact that you can stare a man in the eyes, but not like the idea of hiding your eyes makes you less human. But now that
I have no idea how they shot that.
But let me finish.
That looked
let me finish.
way too clean for actual mirrored sunglasses.
I know. I think that I think they actually just made mirrors in the glass. But anyway, I mean, the fact that they make such a big deal because you can't see his eyes. He never talks. He keeps his eyes hidden, and nobody else has sunglasses. So it's just like it works, but it makes him seem less human. But now everyone wears sunglasses and goes, "Hey!" Like all the cops try to pull off being that guy, and it's like, no, you can't talk.
I also love that he kills something every time they go out to work. First it's a bird, and then it's a turtle. This guy had some hate for animals.
No, he's just a hunter. No, but real quick, if you guys don't mind, I do want to talk about just from a technical aspect, how they pulled that off.
The sunglasses?
Because it, like, the way the camera shoots it, it's way too close for it, if it were a practical prop, it's way too close for the camera not to show up in the glasses.
You know what?
And what you're seeing in them is moving, so I actually think this might be... this might be crazy, but I think it might be a composited shot.
That's what I was about to say. I think that it might be.
No. I think it's just really creative camera angles.
No, but Milan, like that first time you really get a close-up on this guy as he looks down the street, it's like the camera's... You can't even see the man's nose because the camera's that close. And, a camera of that time period would be way too big not to show up with the cameraman in his glasses at that angle.
It's also too well defined, I think, to be a zoom shot. Because if it had been just the reflection that he was getting, I think that what you see going on inside the glasses would look really murky and kind of like undefined, out of focus.
Yeah, it's pristine.
It is gorgeous. I really think that it's either superimposition or composite, because because the guy's not really moving. You could definitely pull it off. And the stuff going on inside the glasses is what's in focus. So I think that it's pretty. I think it's safe to say that it's probably a composite or superimposition.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that too, because it's just so clean, and it's such a... for nowadays, it's like some of the shots in The Matrix, like with Morpheus' sunglasses. They had so much fun doing that in The Matrix, where you could really see the rest of the room in the mirrored sunglasses. But it's like, this is so long ago compared to that. That would have been like so new to see on screen when you think about it.
Oh yeah, but I got the answer how they could do that.
Magic?
Exactly.
Black magic.
The way they did it, they had to...
It was funny, I was talking to Manos, I don't know if you guys saw the Red Knight ad I did for him.
Saw that, that was cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was talking to Manos while I was working on that for him, and he was like, I was trying to explain, like, just some of it, and he's like, Ian, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm, like, a step away from thinking that it's just magic.
And this is a guy who likes Wonder Woman, so he's willing to accept that.
Well, no, Manos just has, like, such a loose grasp on technology, and he'll freely admit that to everybody. So he's like, I'm pretty much just a step away from thinking it's magic.
Because doesn't he not edit his videos?
Hold on, is that because he's old and Italian?
Yes.
Well, no, because he doesn't edit his videos, so, I mean, I know that he doesn't know editing software.
Yeah, it's just that thing where he's like, well, I'm reasonably sure that if people did not tell me it was technology, I would think it's magic. That's really funny.
Because if we all had the same mindset as Manos, we'll be still in the cave. So thanks for being so oldie pants, Manos.
I'm sure he'll appreciate
primitive
that.
The word you wanted? Was primitive the word you wanted?
That's the word I was looking for. Primitive. Thanks for being so primitive, Manos.
I just want to put oldie pants on a T-shirt now. So now there's gonna be a new line of Geeky Gentleman meme shirts. One of them's gonna have my quote that I said earlier, and I forget what it was exactly, so I won't repeat it. And then it's gonna have "Thanks for being."
I just fill time.
Right. And Milan's will be, "Thanks for being such an oldie pants, Manos," because no one will get that reference that he sees. So that will make it really work. And then Ian's will just be fascinating. Ian Harrington. That's all it'll be.
Nah, that would be my catchphrase if I ever played the Doctor. Fascinating.
Yeah.
It could work. It could be the next Fantastic. I'm telling you.
I thought your catchphrase would be "Shut the fuck up, companion."
Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to finish this. But Doctor, the world's about to end. Oh, the world's always about to end.
I'm a time traveler. We could literally go back a few seconds before anything happened and shoot the guy before he does it, while I'm still doing the thing. So relax, bitches.
And then all of a sudden I just tap myself on the shoulder. Hey, I'm actually here to do that. So if you could just, I'm talking. And then like we just keep getting infinite Ians appearing.
Yeah,
to
they're trying to break up the fight and shit. It just turns into a cataclysmic war.
Dude, I would I'll be honest. If I ever time travel and meet myself, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like reasonably tempted to just like see if I can murder myself to prove the paradox wrong.
Is that really? Because I mean, we talked about something like this last week, where if you go back and fuck yourself, is that considered masturbation or going gay? So this would be the perfect chance to test that.
Yeah.
Well, like that one, I mean, I'm attracted to myself, but I'm not gonna travel back in time to suck a dick.
Well, no, you don't have to do the dick sucking. I mean, you could.
I enjoy cross-dimensional. I enjoy cross-dimensional incest. It's rather fun.
Because he's tried it.
Most of us do.
He's tried it.
No, it's one of those things. But anyway, we're Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke. All right, we're winding down here, but there was one other scene I wanted to talk about. It's such an odd scene, but it really works. It slows the whole movie down, and it does a great job, because that's exactly what it's supposed to do. How he reacts when his mom dies.
Oh, yeah.
That Plastic Jesus song. I don't know what it is. I love that scene. As he plays the banjo and sings that song, there's something really touching about that.
Yeah. And he cries, and like all the guys just leave. See, in a real prison, that would never happen. In a real prison, somebody will go, "Oh, your mama's dead."
Well, they kind of do that later.
No.
What?
I mean, they lock him in the hot box because.
No, Milan's talking about the other inmates.
Oh, yeah. Okay, totally.
Anyway, but yeah, like
I'm sorry you confused me with your strange use of the English language.
Silence, New Yorker. But anyway, I love the scene when he talks to his mom, because, I mean, it's one of those things, such a well-developed character, and it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm an old lady smoking at the back of a truck.
It's so bizarre that didn't wig me out when I was watching it. Like, this dude pulls her up with like a little bedroom set up in the back of this pickup truck, and I took it so seriously. But at the whole, but like when it was done, I was like, wait, was she just like have a bedroom set up in the back of a pickup truck?
No, it's not a bedroom. He just kind of put her there like a pillow and like.
But there's a nightstand and a fucking like overhang. It's a bedroom in a truck.
Bill, I think these people are... I think it's safe to assume these people are white trash.
No, but that doesn't make it any less weird. When was the last time you saw that, Ian?
How many times have you been to Hoagland?
Never.
I've been a couple.
They have people in the back of pickup trucks with living like.
I'm kidding. It's a country thing. It happens. Okay. I've been to trailer parks.
But I mean, it's not like a trailer. I mean,
funny thing with this movie is, like the whole time he spent in jail, and how he was like, "Hey, this is how it's gonna happen." How the Warren just kind of explained the rules to him. It reminded me of my time at camp. Really, it did.
That does not surprise me at all.
No, I'm
that
serious.
Does not bode well for what Milana's about to say.
No, I'm serious. It did really truly remind me of my time in summer camp. Except everyone was Russian.
The only time I've been to summer camp, this did not remind me of that because I
mean, they had the hot box and everything. I mean, indeed.
Oh my God, Milan.
The hot box and a guy got shot and another guy tried to escape.
And I was
they put a chain on his legs when they captured him. And
there was a major failure to communicate.
Oh, totally. Because one of the guy who kept running away wasn't actually Russian, and all the camp counselors refused to speak English.
Oh my God, Jebediah Springsteen is Cool Hand Luke. It'd be amazing.
Cool Hand Jebediah. No, Warm Hand Jebediah. Just to
Jebediah Springsteen continues to escape from the southern prison. That'd be pretty amazing.
You know what happened?
It's got to end with him cannibalizing everyone in the prison, so...
No. It's got to end... It's got to be, like, the complete opposite of the movie. It's got to have, like, the most epic-ass ending ever.
Conquers the world.
No, like, Jebediah Springsteen comes running in, like, he escapes the second time, and then he comes back with, like, an army of, like, tanks and, like, blows up the prison and rescues all the prisoners.
It'd be a reference.
Yes!
Wait. A harem of 8 women? What are you talking about?
From your Planet of the Apes thing.
What?
You don't remember when you did the Jebediah Springsteen off the cuff during the Planet of the Apes episode?
Oh yeah, that. Oh okay.
Pretty
yeah.
bad when we know your continuity better than you do.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm like, huh. Oh, the apes. Okay. I remember
you still don't know what we're talking about. I know when you're bullshitting.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. The one like where I had sex with a lot of ape women. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Now, to be fair, I don't remember the specifics, so I couldn't, even if he was bullshit.
I just remember the sentence, I had a harem of anthropomorphic ape
That was
women.
all that stuck. Oh, you've got to bring in Inspector Gadget and the animal?
Yes, my 2 sons, both officers in my army.
They're both like, but they're cops! It's like that scene in RoboCop, and they just have to kill them.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Jebediah Springsteen creates RoboCop.
No. Dude, does Jebediah Springsteen just make this whole weird pantheon of 80s movie heroes?
Yes! Of course he does. Well, the animal was early 2000s, but anyway. Here's the thing. I just imagine Jebediah Springsteen has a barn, and when you open up the doors of the barn, it's just a tunnel, and it just goes down to this, like, Hall of Armor-esque just mass of just vials filled with failed experiments. And then you see, like, King Kong, fucking, like, the 98 Godzilla, like, all these different, like, fucked up creatures from, like, past film franchises, like the Pred Alien, just, like, all this, like, the 2010 Wolfman, all this shit. And he just has them on display. Like, these are my aborted children.
Aborted children.
Essentially. There's actually one last scene I want to talk about with Cool Hand Luke before we wrap up, because I can feel we're ending, so I'm going to say...
Well, like, I'm sorry, we didn't quite get into the part of the scene I wanted to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
How did you guys feel about, like, the lyrics of the song and, like, what it was saying about what was going on in the movie as a whole and in that scene in general? On the Plastic Jesus song.
I honestly don't remember the specifics of it very well. So, I mean, I just thought the overall tone of it was very fitting, and the religious overtones helped a lot as well. So,
yeah,
I'm just gonna look up the
Plastic
lyrics
Jesus.
and read them out real quick.
I mean, Plastic Jesus, you think about it, it's just like, yep, Plastic Jesus, false hope, false hope.
I don't care if it rains or freezes, as long as I've got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car. Through my trials and tribulations and my travels through the nation, with my plastic Jesus I'll go far. That doesn't seem like the same song.
no, that doesn't sound like it at all.
Well, I think Hold on, let me try Cool Hand Luke. Plastic Jesus, Cool Hand Luke lyrics, because he does a different version of it.
Well, it's probably like a modern version or some shit.
No, he does a different version of the lyrics. Don't care if it rains or freezes, as long as I got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car through my trials and tribulations and my travels through the nations. With my plastic Jesus I'll go far. Plastic Jesus, plastic Jesus. This doesn't seem like the right one.
I don't know. But either way, it does work with the film.
I don't know, I thought the lyrics were really interesting and had a lot going on to them, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. Hold on, I'm just gonna play it if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna play an advertisement for 5 seconds.
Doritos!
Welcome to Milan Jevdic's.
Shh, shh, shh. Okay, you guys can't hear this.
I can.
Comes in colors pink and pleasant. Glows in the dark 'cause it's iridescent. Take it with you when you travel far. Sorry guys. Get yourself a sweet Madonna dressed in rhinestones sitting on a pedestal of an abalone shell. I missed that part. Come on. Going 90, I ain't scared. Alright, never mind. This is taking too long. Sorry, this is not entertaining audio.
Yeah. Anyway,
No, I thought the lyrics really fit
oh yeah,
well, and I was trying to determine what they meant with the rest of the film, since it is such a Jesus allegory. And not necessarily, like, Milan, I get what you're saying, this, like, you know, false icon kind of thing. I can definitely see that interpretation there. But in the context that this guy is Jesus to a group of men, I'm not sure what that really says about it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It's unusual. Well, it could be interpreted as a moment of self-doubt if he's breaking down, and it's almost a continuation of his character, because he's not doing the typical mourning kind of situation. Like, usually someone would go off in a corner and brood and cry and just look like their life has been destroyed. And he's smiling and singing, and he's crying, but he's still smiling and singing. So it definitely makes sense with his character. But I guess you could definitely interpret it as a moment of self-doubt, because he is by himself in the scene with the other men onlooking, so.
Yeah, alright. What else did you want to mention, Bill?
The scene with the woman. I thought it was a little unnecessary. It makes sense, of course, if it were a real situation that would happen. But at the end of the day, it's really unnecessary. It really doesn't serve much of a purpose.
I disagree. I think it shows that he's the only one of them that really understands how the world works here. I mean, she is just as much, torturer as the guards. Arguably more so.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I think that it's such a long scene, and...
I think beyond that, to continue the Jesus allegory, I believe that's the version... that's his version of the devil's temptation.
What are you talking about? With his mom?
No.
The scene where the woman washes the scene where the woman washes the car.
Oh.
And everyone else is like flipping out about it. It's like, oh my god, she's so gorgeous. I want her. Just if she just squeezes a little tighter, that dress is gonna pop off. I swear.
It was some good image. It was some good, dialogue and visual imagery. But I mean, I thought the scene was too long because again, it's not really. It does work with the allegory and makes sense with his character, but I don't know. It feels a little too long for me.
I think the whole allegory thing, you're putting too much faith in that. But like the whole pretty lady, she's washing her car in a very tight dress with a chain gang right outside her house.
I'm not saying I don't approve, but
no, I think that it's too connected to the Jesus allegory. He's the only one that's not fallen all over her.
Right.
Because he realizes that she's just trying to tempt them.
And I mean, even aside from the Jesus thing, it makes sense with his character because he's the only one not having that, oh God, kill me now if I can't have a reaction. So,
yeah.
Again, it makes sense with his character.
I mean, I could only, it's such a voyeuristic thing, and it actually reminds me of this joke I heard, it was this comic strip, actually. Different people's reactions to the NSA, to the NSA spying program, and this one goes, the voyeur. Oh, I can't believe I dropped these cherries all over my shirt. I guess I'll have to take it off. I hope no one at the NSA is watching.
It's also it's an effect that they do it very effectively, though, to have the effect of you totally buy these guys' reactions, because there is not one woman in the movie up to that point. It is a white, middle-aged sausage fest. And when a young, good-looking woman in a tight dress finally reveals herself, you kind of have the same reaction that the guys do, where you're like, holy shit, there's a woman in this movie.
I do love that scene, though. They're just all, like, flipping out over her, and, she does it all, obviously, on purpose, to the point where it's like, all you really need is, like, that bound chicka wow wow.
Oh, yeah, she's definitely doing it on purpose. I mean, she fucking, when she squeezes the sponge all over her dress and starts rubbing, it's like, this is not an accident.
Yeah, that was quite brilliant. And it's something that you could honestly imagine actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it works. But I don't know, I think it's too long. It kind of distracted me from the movie a little bit.
Yeah, in a real prison, one of those inmates would go back after he escaped and do terrible things to her.
Well, I mean,
it was the 60s, Milani. Even the prisoners had more class than that.
Really?
It was a simpler time. There were no crimes.
Racism? What's that?
Everyone is equal if you're white and middle class and Catholic.
Exactly.
But in the main of that scene, another thing I like this scene. It's just I thought it was too long and kind of distracting. But the other visual imagery I liked, and again, this plays into the movie being shot very well. I love the placement of the tools they're using in reference to the camera, because they're doing it very hard and fast, and the angle makes it look like a stroking motion, which I guarantee was done on purpose.
Oh, definitely.
So it was and the faces on the prisoners, such a well shot and filled with visual metaphor for the theme kind of film. So that also was something I liked. But I don't know, it was a scene that, once it was said and done, I was like, okay, next.
It's just it just serves to further establish the character, because it happens before he starts doing any of the rebellious things that he does, I think. I don't know, I really did enjoy it, though. It worked for me.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, if you know what I mean, but
no, you fucking chauvinist. I enjoyed it for more than the superficial reason. I think it tied into the character, and I think it worked really well and showed you first of all, just the language and the vernacular of these guys. It was so great to see. It's like, anything that precious and perfect has to be named Lucille.
That was
I like that.
I love that character.
Lucille. It's funny that, like, they talk like some people like people from nowadays, like from our so PC generations, like, oh, they're pretending to be black people. No, that's just how all people from the South talk, in a really weird kind of deep.
Yeah, I never got why people say Foghorn Leghorn was like a racist version of a black guy's voice. Like,
no, if anything, I thought he was the stereotypical plantation person because he goes around calling everyone boy.
Well, no, that's not a plantation thing. That's just an old Southern man.
Yeah, no,
thing.
I know. I never thought Foghorn Leghorn was supposed to be black. I always thought he was supposed to be the opposite.
Yeah, like he's a big white rooster walking around going, okay, you do this for me, boy, and da-da-da, and he smacks around the brown dog.
That is a terrible Foghorn Leghorn impression. And even if, let me just say this, even if it was the case that Foghorn Leghorn is supposed to be the white master and the Chicken Hawk is supposed to be the stupid black guy, anyone ever notice that the Chicken Hawk always ends up beating up Foghorn Leghorn? Anyone else besides me make that connection?
Yeah, I got it.
It was also supposed to be a representation of the Civil Rights Movement. Anyway, no, the truly racist cartoon bird were those fucking 3 crows sitting on the wire. I mean, everyone remembers that, right? How fucking racist was that?
That's from Dumbo, right?
Yes.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. The crows. Oh, they're black?
Yes, Milan.
Milan, shut the fuck. Milan, you're never allowed to talk about race ever again.
No.
Because every time you do, you just get it so wrong, and it's like, it's embarrassing for everyone, especially yourself.
No, but I always thought like, oh, they're funny flippin' people. Now it's like, oh, they're cartoon birds.
Milan, watch it again. You'll get exactly what I'm talking about.
I will. I'll watch Dumbo again. Oh, hold on.
No, don't watch it now.
No,
Milan's gonna come back.
I'm thinking like, oh my god, you're right.
He's playing the movie in his mind. Hang on, guys. I'm building a screen. Alright, I see the elephant. I see the wire. I see the crows. Oh my god, Bill, you're right! I hate this movie now.
No, I don't hate it. I'm like, oh wow.
No, you're just accepting of racism.
Look out. Look out. Pink elephants on parade.
Oh my god.
Look out. Movie.
Look out.
Oh my god.
No, I really like the pink elephants.
Oh yeah. Funny thing is, I completely agree now. Oh my god. I just remember they're all, doing stuff.
You know what's actually really funny? This was not a great show, but it did have its moments. Drawn Together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they put, I forget, like, the 20s character that was essentially bulimic Betty Boop. When they put her into a train car with censored cartoon characters from the olden Hollywood. And so she turns on a light, and they're all the black characters with, like, the gigantic lips.
Oh, white lips, bunch of blackface people, yeah.
No, they're like actual black cartoon characters, but they're drawn with like the most stereotypical features ever, and it just cracked me the hell up. Like, oh, it's so true.
You know what?
It's the band cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to see some race, like I still don't agree that it's racist, but I still see why people are offended by it. Check out some of the original Tom and Jerry cartoons because you get to see like this black woman's legs.
Oh,
and
she's
talking to Tom. She goes. Yeah, she's talking to Tom, and she's like, "Oh, Thomas." Like, she does that, like, really stereotypical voice. And then the other one that really gets it, is when Bugs Bunny does Al Johnson's Mammy. That one really pisses some people off.
I mean, original classic Looney Tunes in general was like, we can't watch this anymore. We can't show this to children anymore.
I disagree with that. I think most classic Looney Tunes holds up.
No, and not in terms of the comedy, just in terms of like, that is a really racist, anti-Japanese joke.
I mean, what's some racism between friends?
Like, you can get away with you could probably, not show some of the war-centered ones.
That's exactly it.
I love the war ones because they always show them during like like Victory Day or something. And it's always like, hey, look at that! Donald Duck hailing Hitler, and it's amazing because it was hilarious.
Captain
Donald
America.
Duck Hitler's still funny.
Captain America, Donald Duck, fucking Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Superman.
Oh, there's
These
one
are the
Super-
champions of World War II.
No, dude, there's a old cartoon of Superman beating up Koreans.
Oh yes, there is. From the Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. The one with the airplane.
No, but I mean, you can watch some of the old, like, more political ones, but that's the thing is, those aren't really meant for kids because they're meant to be in-jokes for the adults.
And to be fair to them, they were also played in movie theaters, so.
Yeah. I don't know, I can see why people would be offended by it, but it wasn't meant to be offensive. It wasn't, like, meant like they were trying to piss people off. It was just the status of the times, I suppose.
Yeah, I know, but still, you know. I mean, you show that to, like, a kindergarten class, it's like, oh, shit, we gotta turn this off.
Yeah, right.
They're popping out cigarettes, and babies are smoking. It's just fucking intense.
Oh, God, you seen the Flintstones commercial?
Oh, it's fucking gross. It's fucking
Guys, my brother got me an iPad for my birthday.
Congratulations.
Oh, nice. Congrats, man.
Oh my god.
Happy birthday, Milan.
Yay!
Anyway, no,
Did you just break
I think...
Mom, did you just break your own finger?
Yep.
You were saying yes, and you were just like... I was like, oh my god.
I broke my own finger. What?
Out of
I
joy.
like the pain.
It's like, I'm not afraid I'll break every finger in my hand. This is every day in Russia.
Oh my god.
It's like,
Milan,
you get...
so beautiful.
It's like Milan's so not used to being happy that he has to hurt himself just to keep himself grounded. I'm so happy right now. Oh god, yes.
Oh, Bill, that was a really good one. Thank you. Okay. I think it's time to wrap up because we're like definitely not talking about the movie. So let's give a score on Cool Hand Luke. I am going to give this movie 4.5 hard-boiled eggs out of 5.
Okay. I give this movie a 5.5. Shut up, Mickey. I give this movie 5.5. Man with no eyes.
Milan has gone above the scoring thing, so I will give this movie 4 banjos out of 5.
Okay, alright. Well, that was fun. Thanks, guys, for sticking with me on Cool Hand Luke. I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. I was interested to see the reactions on that one. So that was, especially when Bill was like, what the hell is that?
I was like,
guys, before we go, I think we have a... How did that speech go?
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Some man you just can't reach. And you got what you got here tonight. Well, fuck it, I don't know. I mean, oh my god, I got an iPad. Get your fingers off my iPad, Mickey.
Alright, so Milan has decided to forfeit his topic to me, which I was not prepared for. So, I guess I will have to prepare myself now, but alright. So, next week, we're going to talk about something that gets brought up a lot on this show when we review things that one of us is nostalgic for. And it's something that's been coming up a lot lately with a certain TV show on AMC ending. And the build-up to that ending being so huge. Of course, I'm talking about Breaking Bad.
No.
And I wanted to talk about the idea of hype in pop culture. Talk about when things are overhyped, when things are underhyped, just the idea of hype, how it affects us on viewpoints. We could also get into how other people's viewpoints affect the culture as a whole, which we have talked about before, but we could definitely devote a portion of the video to that, which will be interesting. So we're going to talk about hype, as inspired by how fucking hyped up the ending of Breaking Bad is. And I have now gotten into that show, so I'll also talk about that lightly and see how certain things hold up and the impacts of it. So we're going to talk about hype next week on Geeky Gentlemen.
Woohoo! Yay!
Okay.
Sorry about this, guys. I'm holding my iPad, and it's so nice.
Milan has literally been distracted by shiny objects.
Exactly. And it's like...
Now what? Dude, but the problem is, you live in, like, a shitty house, and you're gonna drop that thing from, like, no height at all, and it's gonna shatter.
It's gonna fall in a
like
puddle of jizz and like.
No, it's gonna shatter just like your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations. So on that note, everybody, thank you for listening, and until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Fanatic.
And I'm the Madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing
with a success to